All right, we're getting the beef roll started. We got the lot one, beef feeder calves entering the ring. On deck would be the beef feeder calves. The second lot, right behind that, will lead into the dairy feeder calves.
And good morning, everyone. I'm Brian Winnikins from Real Country 1430 AM and 107.3 FM WRDN at the Pierce County Fair for the beef show. And looks like we should have not only a good show, but thank you to UW Extension here in Pierce County. They're allowing me to use their internet access here. And hopefully it looks like we're going to have a pretty good show today. And it looks like the internet's pretty stable, so hopefully it won't be like yesterday with the hog show. We should have everything, a pretty good show today. As we're starting with the beef feeder calves.
All right, for the beef show, currently in the ring is lot number one, beef feeder calves. On deck, and you should be checking in with Mrs. Dressen, is lot number two. We should have Kylie Mark, Wyatt Mark, Lane Muse, Cora Schaefer, Noah Schumann, Harper Tuffnick, and Oakley Arwood. You should be out on deck. Dairy feeder calves, class one, you should be getting ready.
Again, watching coverage of the beef show here from the Pierce County Fair. I'm Brian Winnikins from WRDN Radio, and thank you for joining us today. Throughout the day, we'll also be thanking our sponsors as well. And these businesses and organizations are the ones bringing you today's beef show, so please thank them. We'll be thanking them throughout the day, including Alcivia, a leading-owned member agriculture fuel cooperative serving Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Illinois. Visit alcivia.com. SFB Security Financial Bank, where electronic banking is easy. Visit them online at sfbank.com. And
Judging
Sunstrom
our beef
and Company.
show today is Devin Hadorn Papke. He's from the Eau Claire area, and assisting him is Macy, and she's helping by handing out ribbons. Thank you to both of them for being here today.
Also, Sunstrom and Company of Durand, your local tax experts. It's time to get ready for tax planning, and you can call Sunstrom and Company in Durand at 672-4425. Visit them online as well to schedule your appointment. Please thank all of our sponsors. Give them a call, drop them an email, visit their business. Tell them thank you for supporting our broadcasts. Without their help, we wouldn't be here today at the Pierce County Fair and the Beef Show.
If everybody could give this group of kids a nice round of applause. So in this group of calves, we have this heifer that just starts off. She's the one that came in, hit me the hardest as she came in. Does she have the most center rib? No. If you wanted to compare the two, this one does have a little bit more center rib in the whole scheme of things. I just think for me, she puts things together, and it does make it a little more complicated that you have the males and females together. But a stout, big top, feminine-made female to start off this class. Not to take anything away from the steer here in second place. He might just be a little bit more bolder in his center shape. I wish he was a little flatter up in his front third. He probably just doesn't have that hair to give that extra look. But I do like the feet and legs from the ground up. He's massive in his top, stout from behind. Very nice steer this young lady brings in. Then it gets a little bit more interesting. We have this elegant female that's coming through, super structurally correct. She's soft from the ground up, lots of center rib shape, maybe just not as much I'd like as for weight per day of age, but a very nice female this young lady brings in. Now, if you wanted to switch the black one and this black and white one, I wouldn't necessarily give you a hard time about it. I just think that for its age, he's just not giving me as much as the other ones in front of him to place higher today, but a structurally well put together calf. Maybe you'd like to lengthen him out in his hip, but a very nice calf next. Then you have this young lady steer, lots of weight per day of age, probably just not the look, type, kind, and power that we want to go any higher today, but a very structurally correct animal for us to follow. Then the youngest young lady here with her tiny calf, just the greenest, freshest in his look and appearance, just not enough weight per day of age, but from the ground up, it'll be a nice project for that young lady for next year. Thank you.
Congratulations in our last class for beef feeder calves. First blue went to Adam Kapatsky, second blue to Tessa Asher. Currently in the ring is our second class of beef feeder calves. On deck should be dairy feeder calves. Dairy feeder calves should be on deck, and then dairy cross feeder calves should be getting ready.
Again, watching coverage of the Pierce County Fair Beef Show. I'm Brian Winnikins from WRDN. Thank you for joining us today as well. As we continue on, those of you watching our video streams either on YouTube or on our Facebook page, let us know where you're watching us from. I'd love to hear from you this morning. Beaver Dam checking in. Good to see you this morning. So let us know in the comments section where you're watching us from. Again, thank you to UW Extension here in Pierce County. They understood the situation we had yesterday with being able to get access out of the fairgrounds. They were able to let me use their Wi-Fi that they have, which is a little bit different than mine, and it's actually working quite well. And part of it is because it's older. It's older than my Wi-Fi access, which means it's using the other frequencies, but they're more stable. 5G is nice until you get in the building. Then it doesn't work at all. Thank you to Antech, your premier communications and entertainment provider, Durand. Also, Dunn Energy, your Touchstone Energy cooperative, and Durand Smokehouse. And visit Durand Smokehouse, Highway 85, Durand. For all of your grilling needs, ask about the beef and pork bundles, too, from Durand Smokehouse, along with the Wisconsin Soybean Marketing Board. Find out how Wisconsin soybean farmers are fueling Wisconsin. Visit wisoybean.org. Please thank all of our sponsors. Give them a call, drop them an email, visit their business. Tell them thank you for supporting our broadcasts here on our video streaming service. Without their help, we would not be here at the Pierce County Fair Beef Show. Cloudy day here in Ellsworth.
Here we got our second class of feeder steers. I'm going to start with this young man, Silver Steer, to start it off. Just a steer, if we're talking about true potential down the road, I think he just brings us the most quality from the ground up. Now, the one thing I'm not really quite sure about his future is and I'm not sure if he's maybe fighting the halter. He can get out and move, but he does seem to get a little bit up in his top and rocha hair, and maybe not the freest moving, but I can't quite tell from him fighting the halter. But this young man has a nice job of him being presented. He's getting around, he can move. Just there's just a little bit of question in the back of my mind as a fat steer. That's where if you wanted to switch them around, I could say you beg to differ with the black steer. He does have a little bit more center rib, just doesn't have that extra look and pop that maybe you'd want in a show steer for next year. Is he a little bit more flexible from the ground up and appearing when he gets around and moving the ring? I just don't think he gives me the extra look that the Silver Steer does. The next two, it gets a little bit more interesting with these young feeder calves if we're just talking about their weight per day of age, but we're also in a feedlot situation thinking about structure. I think that's where the Hereford has a little bit of an edge to me to the black calf. He's just a little bit softer and easier moving, where the black steer, he's getting a little harder in his back pasterns when he gets around, which makes me question when he hits 1,500 pounds as a fat steer, is he going to be a little bit more of trouble in a feedlot for a project situation when they're getting him fat? Although this young lady had this little baldy calf here in class, I think he has the edge from a muscle and power standpoint if we're comparing him to two individuals that are the two bottom spots in the class. I also like his foot and leg structure. He's not quite as soft in his past turns and can get around and move a little bit better. And I just think that's the edge that he carries over the two that are in the bottom of the class. They just don't have the same amount of power and mass at this day and age from a feeder position. Also, they're just a little softer in the rear pasterns, which can be a little more troublesome in a feeding situation.
Congratulations to Oakley Yarwood with the first blue, Cora Schaefer with the second blue.
Congratulations in the last class. First blue went to Oakley Yarwood of the Heartland Hustlers. Second blue to Cora Schaefer of the Olivet Otters. And third blue to Lane Muse of the Heartland Hustlers. Now entering the ring are dairy feeder calves. And on deck should be our beef dairy cross feeder calves.
Watching coverage of the Pierce County Fair Beef Show this morning, Brian Winnikins from WRDN Radio. Thank you for joining us this morning, wherever you're watching from. Let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you this morning. And good morning, Susan. Susan Littlefield watching over in Surprise, Nebraska. And Susan, of course, she's the host of Inside Dairy and also Market Talk on WRDN, part of our 7 hours of farm programming throughout the day that we have on WRDN. Kick it off with the WRDN Morning Farm Report from 5 to 7. We have farm news, farm market updates, ag weather updates, newsmaker segment as well, along with Susan's show, Inside Dairy, at about 6:20, along with some great classic country music too. Bottom of the hour at 9, 10, and 11 o'clock hours. So we have an hourly market update during our noon hour after our noon news visits and updates. So we'll have our noon farm show with a midday market update, along with farm news and ag weather ag weather update as well. At 1 o'clock, it's Chip Flory with hour number 1 of AgriTalk with the latest news and issues affecting rural America. During the 2 o'clock hour, Michelle Rook is in with hour number 2 of AgriTalk. She has the latest market moves and the news behind all of the market moves. Then during the 3 o'clock hour, Jesse Allen in with AOA and the latest news and issues from rural America. During the 4 o'clock hour, after our news update during the 4 o'clock hours, Susan's back in with Market Talk, and Susan talks with a lot of the different market analysts from around the country about the latest market news of the day. You can listen to WRDN on 1430 AM, 107.3 FM, online at our website at realcountry1430.com. You can also download the Live 365 app. Do a search for WRDN and you'll find us there. You can also download the Live 365 app on your Roku TV. And you can listen to us right through your Roku TV. The Farms radio station, Real Country 1430 AM and 107.3 FM, WRDN. This is the dairy feeder calf class. Again, let us know where you're watching from. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, love to hear from you this morning. Again, this is the dairy feeder calf class. Wisconsin Beef Council providing us with some beef trivia as well this morning. And, well, how many pounds of beef does the average American consume each year? From this, according to USDA. I'll let you think about that. Again, how many pounds of beef does the average American consume each year? That, according to USDA, we'll give you that answer here coming up. Well, looks like we've got our last two. So how many pounds of beef does the average American consume each year? That would be about 57 pounds. 57 pounds. Again, thank you to Wisconsin Beef Council for the trivia today.
If everybody could give this group of exhibitors a round of applause, this group of dairy feeder calves. So I had a nice conversation with somebody last week about this dairy beef industry. And if you really think about it and you put it in perspective from a beef guy myself, I run 100 cows. Well, you got these dairies sitting there running 1,000, 900, 500, 2,000 cows, and you take in consideration the amount of calves that they're pumping out with very little effort, getting them right in the food supply. It really kind of puts things in perspective. I need 5 to 10 of me to raise the same amount that these dairy guys are doing, and they're raising a lot of food for the people that are living in this population. So what I'm just really doing here, especially there's not really a bad group in this steers. I'm just starting up from the ground up. If we're putting these into a feedlot or a feeder situation, feet and legs, their ability to get out, and then the amount of muscle they have comparison, and that's just kind of where I'm doing this for weight per day of age and muscle. That really sets this young lady. It probably has the most amount of muscle as we're coming through the ring. In comparison, you have this young man, it's a little bit of a younger calf. I don't want to take anything away. He might be the stoutest calf, but I just don't know if there's quite as much weight per day of age that we want comparing the two. But two nice calves. We're just give or take a little bit more weight per day of age versus muscle. Then this young lady here, and once again, she's kind of the third calf that when I'm getting behind, he has the most hip, the most power, while actually being structurally correct from the ground up. So I do like that Holstein calf. Then we just kind of go right down the row. This young lady here, once again, just not as much power, probably a little softer on his pasterns, but he's good in his top. He has lots of good pieces. They're just kind of not as much muscle as the calf in front. Then this young man, I was kind of looking on where I wanted to go with these last four, and I'm going a little bit more weight per day of age, and then how much power they have. And this young man, what he just has for me is just a little bit more weight per day age, a little bit more muscle, a little bit more mass. He's a little further along in just maturity, and a very nice calf to sit in that spot. Then these two, you could swap them around. You could say that maybe the calf that's behind it may have a little bit more power, but I do like the feet and leg structure of the calf that leads to this group of three the most. It's not quite as set back and can get out and move. That's going to be a very problem-free steer in a feedlot situation that you're not going to have to worry about giving him a bunch of corn, finishing him out, and his feet and legs blowing out on top of him. Then the young lady to finish up the class of the Black Holstein. For his age, just not as much weight per day of age, not as much power if you get them all next to each other, not enough muscle. Comparison go any higher today. Is he structurally sound? Yes. Will he do well in a feedlot situation? Yes. I just think your yield when it's all said and done probably won't have the muscle and the yieldage as there's some steers when they're finished up in a feedlot situation.
Winning that class was Lena Johnson, taking second, Clayton Savino. Up next, dairy and beef cross feeder calves, or beef and dairy cross feeder calves. They say that either way 3 times fast, right? Dustin, I hope the goats are doing fine in the goat barn this morning here at the Pierce County Fair. He's checking in. Let us know where you're watching from. Love to hear from you this morning.
Congratulations in our dairy feeder calf class. Our first blue went to Clayton Savino of Country Partners. Second blue went to Linnea Johnson of Town and Country. And third to Carolina Young of Main Rock Rockets. Currently in the ring, we have the beef dairy cross feeder calves. At the conclusion of this, we will select our champion and reserve champion feeder calf. So we need our first and second blues to be on deck out in the holding area for our champion selection. At the conclusion of our champion and reserve champion feeder calf, we will go into our market beef animal class. So lightweight steers class 1, you should be getting ready.
Thank you to J.M. Watkins, Plum City. Visit J.M. Watkins for all of your Labor Day grill out needs. Oh, and while you're there, check out the 30-day dry-aged ribeyes. Oh boy, they are awesome, and they also have a recipe on how you can prepare them in a smoker. Ask about that over at J.M. Watkins. Highway 10, just outside of Plum City. Also, Compeer Financial, a member-owned farm credit cooperative serving and supporting agriculture in rural communities. Visit Compeer.com for more information. Bluff Country Feed and Seed, Mondovi, your hometown feed and seed supplier, serving Mondovi, Duranda, Leva, Arcadia, and the surrounding area with nutrition consultation, feed and forage sampling, feed delivery, and seed needs. They're also a member of Midwestern BioAg. Learn more, visit bluffcountryfs.com. And O'Galley Cheese Factory, Highway 25 Durand, open 7 days a week, featuring cheese, locally made beef sticks, pizza, ice cream, sausage, and more. You can also visit them online. They do ship nationwide. And try the chocolate cheese. Yes, I'm not kidding. I'm not making that up. Chocolate cheese. If you like fudge and cheese, you're going to love that from O'Galley Cheese Factory, Highway 25, Durand. Please thank all of our sponsors. Give them a call, drop them an email, visit their business. Tell them thank you for supporting our video streams, and because without their help, we would not be here. Also, thank the Pierce County Fair Board as well. Let them know you appreciate our video streams as well. And again, a special thank you today to the Pierce County Extension Service for letting me use their internet access so we can provide the stream as yesterday, and we still are having issues. If I was trying to use my internet access through Verizon, it would not have been working properly. So thank you to them for allowing us to use their access this morning to be able to bring you the beef show. This is beef and dairy cross feeder calves right now. Then we will have the champion and reserve champion feeder calf. And those of you watching us on YouTube or Facebook, let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you this morning. Beaver Dam checking in, Nebraska checking in, and some folks over in the Goat Barn watching this morning here at the Pierce County Fair. Those of you in the Goat Barn, have you seen the video of the two goats in Portland that decided to board a city bus? The two kids, i.e. goats, yeah, they made a break for it, and they've been on a walkabout, and they wanted to ride the city bus. There's a video of that going around. It's actually quite funny. The bus driver actually closed the doors. Was going to pull away and then open the doors because the goats are like, nah, we don't want to go for a ride. Thanks anyway. We'll just get back off. We don't have the $1.50 fare, so. But thank you. Yeah, I don't know if they want. Police were still looking for the goats as of last word. Looks like we're down to our last three in this class.
It was on mute. You turned it off and had it on mute. Thank you. If everybody could give this group of kids a round of applause. It's a pretty nice big class of Dairy Cross calves. So where we're just going to go with this young lady, she's going to start this class off right away. We're just talking about going into the meat and processing and feedlot situation. That calf just has the most power, the most bone. He's structurally correct. Would I like to maybe pretty him up in his front third? Yes, but his breeding, when talking to this young lady how it's bred, you're not going to necessarily have a pretty front end on that dairy cross steer. Then we get a little bit more interesting situation that I'm not going to disagree with you, said if this calf doesn't have the most power, no, but he has the most substance for his size, probably a little bit bigger hip, structurally correct calf. Just in a feedlot situation, it's probably going to finish out and be a little bit more profitable at this point in time. You can turn and burn that calf and go from there. This young man in third, although that calf does have the most power, when you get him on the side profile look, he is softer in his pattern. He also just likes to get a little bit up in his hip. Not as nice of a profile, but a nice calf in general with enough muscle to get up further up in the class today. This young lady right here, once again, you start at the feet, work your way up. He's not too soft in his patterns, not too straight, just lacks a little bit of the extra muscle and lower depth, but he is pretty in his front. He's good in his top. He's soft in his structure and how he's made with a little bit extra depth of body. So he finds himself just not overly explosive in the class, but a very nice calf to find himself in the middle. This young lady's calf here, now we're giving a lot of give and take on some structure. When I get him around and he's standing there, he tends to get really straight on his rear wheels. Does he have more muscle than a couple of steers further in class? Yes. But I'm just curious in the back of my mind when he's about 1,500-ish pounds, how his feet and legs are going to hold up in the future point of view. But a very nice calf this lady brought in for us. This is probably the most intriguing breeding I haven't really dealt with before, but it's a Charolais Jersey cross, and I wasn't sure where the color pattern came from, but that's Jersey. Whereas I don't want to take anything away for this young lady's calf at all. I love it from the ground up. He's probably one of the prettier fronted, better top calves. He just doesn't have any extra muscle from behind to go up any further in the class today. But I'm guessing with that Charolais, you're adding a little bit of performance on top of that Jersey. That might be quite interesting when you get it on the rail, how it marbles with the Jersey, but the added performance of the Charolais. The young man next coming in class with a silver calf, kind of the same situation, just a little plainer in his mate. He is structurally correct from the ground up. Maybe you could straighten him up in his rear wheels a tick more. He's just not cooperating real well today. Weight per day of age, he's doing quite well because he's a younger calf, but just not overly explosive in the muscle pattern. Then we have the two young ladies that are finishing up here, the last two in this class. They're just kind of one of those softer featured in their bone and muscle, not overly explosive in one way, shape, or form. When you get them set up, they're nice on the profile, but they just don't blow you away from any sort of muscle definition to be any higher in class.
Okay, this is our champion feeder calf drive. Winning that last class, Haiti Holmstadt, rather, won that last class.
All right, in the beef ring right now, we're working on picking our champion feeder calf. I apologize. From the dairy feeder calves, I announced them wrong. That's completely my fault. The first blue went to Linnea Johnson, and the second blue to Clayton Savino. Again, I apologize. And then in the last class of the dairy beef cross, our first blue went to Hattie Homestead of Mary Ayers, and the second blue to Emma Bennett of Mary Ayers. Currently in the ring, we will be picking our champion feeder calf and our reserve champion feeder calf. Lightweight steers, you should be on deck checking in with Pam Dressen. Lightweight steers, please report and get checked in. Lightweight market steers class 2, you should also be getting ready. You're going to be on deck pretty quick. So lightweight class steers class 1, Addie Johnson, Cole Chrisman, Noah Schumann, Jack Rasmussen, Kaylee Lansing, and Brianna Blanche. You should be out there checking in with Mrs. Dressen.
Again, this is our champion feeder calf drive here at the Pierce County Fair. Thank you to Numbers R Us, Common Sense Bookkeeping, and more. They're a certified QuickBooks Pro Advisor, Rhonda Daily Money Manager as well. Visit Rhonda online at numbersrus.com. Find out how a Daily Money Manager can help your family. Pierce Pepin Cooperative Services, your Touchstone Energy partner. Visit Pierce Pepin Cooperative Services website. They have some new things that you could actually install for your home if you're a member of Pierce Pepin Co-op Services, including home battery backup. You can check them out online or visit their booth here at the Pierce County Fair. 24/7 in West Wisconsin Telecom, building smart fiber optic communities from the ground up. Learn more. Visit wwt.coop. Please thank all of our sponsors. Give them a call, drop them an email, visit their business. Tell them thank you for supporting our broadcast. Without their help, wouldn't be here today at the Pierce County Fair. Also, let the Pierce County Fair Board know your appreciation of our video streams as well. Welcome, Rochester, Minnesota, checking in this morning. Let us know where you're watching from on our Facebook or YouTube channel. You can let us know in the comments section. Sun over in Rochester right this morning or not? We still have plenty of clouds here in Ellsworth today.
So we have here in our final drive, we have this young man's heifer here to start off in the first class. Just a very practical, functional feeder calf, which you could honestly, in my take and how she's bred, she could kind of go either way as a market heifer or as a breeding piece. This young man, she's got enough power. She's structurally correct. She's good in her feet and her legs, and she's fantastic in her front third. Then you have this young man here with a silver steer. When he comes out in the ring, he is just massive from behind. He's big tipped. He's big topped. He's pretty good on his feet and legs. The only thing, there's just a little bit of a hitch in his giddy up, and I can't quite figure out exactly what's going on in his rear wheels. He seems to be better now that he's relaxed out in the ring, but he still has just a little bit of a timid walk for his functionality and how he gets around. That just kind of throws me off a little bit. Then we had this young lady with her Holstein steer that came out. He just won his class based on pure power, muscle, weight per day of age, and the practicality if you put him into a feedlot situation. That young lady's going to make a lot of money. Then you have the young lady with her spotted up percentage dairy steer. He won his class once again just on pure muscle, practicality, his structure. He's set nice in his rear wheels. He gets around the ring nice. He's probably not the prettiest fronted by any means out of all four, but he does carry some extra muscle, which is in that whole dairy beef program. For me today, when I go out, I'm going to pick your champion and I'm going to go pick your reserve. There's one just puts all the parts better for me today. If we're taking consider future value, there's one that just has more things to her, more bells and whistles, parts, power, structurally correctness, really good on its profile. The one that comes in reserve follows closely. I just don't know if it's quite where I need for the practicality and soundness that I want. But this young man here, he'll be your champion, and this young man will be your reserve. Oh, lightweight. I'm sorry. Feeder's lightweight. Yeah. I'll ask the kids. They should know. They should know.
Congratulations on our champion feeder calf drive. Champion went to Adam Kapatsky and reserve to Oakley Yarwood. We'll now be starting our market beef show, and entering the ring will be our lightweight steers. We should have Addie Johnson, Cole Chrisman, Noah Schumann, Jack Rasmussen, Kaylee Lansing, and Brianna Blanche. Lightweight steers, market class number 2, you should be on deck, and medium weight market steers, you should be getting ready.
All right, we're now on to our market beef lightweight steers, first class.
Everybody could give this group of lightweight steers a round of applause, please. Young lady, if you want to bring your steer out. The young lady that brings this first steer right out of this class, that's just the heater out of the class. It's not really a question in my mind. He's finished when you get your hands on him. He's stout built. He's powerful. He's got flex and he can move around. He's very moderate, but for what he is, he carries lots of depth of rib and top shape. Is he the prettiest front end? No. There's a lot of extra footballs in that front third. But really, in the whole scheme of things, that's just a logical place for me to start today. A very good steer that puts all things together and brings himself to the top of the class. Thank you for bringing that steer in. This young lady that brings her Hereford Cross appearing steer, when you get your hands on him and you work from the ground up, he's just the most structurally sound that falls logically in place next. He's got enough cover, he's got some bone, he's got some muscle to him. Is he overly powerful to move him up today? No. But just a good fat steer that this young lady can't complain about, that really, really you appreciate from a feedlot perspective. Then we have this young man's Hereford. I was going to possibly move him up further in today, but when you get behind him and you get him on the move, he does tend to toe out quite a bit, and he doesn't quite set down and move as pretty as you would like for him to move up any further today. You get your hands on him. He has enough cover to make grade. Just a functional calf that he should be proud of. Probably could use an extra 100 pounds, and he would possibly move up in class. Then you're following up with the three steers here. This young lady just puts herself on top due to the fact he's got a little bit more cover. He's a little stouter hipped and more powerful from behind, but he is still a little green and fresher in his appearance. He just finds himself in the middle of that class. The two young men that follow out, we're running into a few problems structure-wise, ability to move, and the fact that they're just not going to be high enough grading, and they're probably 100 or 150 pounds short of where they really need to be to move up any further in class today.
Congratulations on our first class of steers and our lightweight market class steers. First blue went to Brianna Blanche of Country Partners. Second blue to Addie Johnson of Town and Country. Currently in the ring, we have our second class of lightweight market steers. We should have Andrew O'Connor, Amber Meyer, Brittany Beckel, Kylie Mark, another Brittany Beckel exhibit, and Hadley Coulson. On deck should be medium weight market steers class 3. Okay? You should be on deck and getting checked in. Class 4, you should be getting ready.
Class 3 of our market steers now. Again, those of you watching, let us know where you're watching from. Love to hear from you this morning. After our market steers, then we'll have a pair of market animals, and then we'll start off with our dairy market steer and animal meat sale classes. Thank you to Provisions Health, 3rd Avenue West Durand, changing the way you experience healthcare. Learn more, visit provisions.health. Also, Chippewa Valley Energy, serving the Chippewa Valley since 1922. Learn more at ChippewaValleyEnergy.com. And Wisconsin Credit Union, we belong to you, serving members for over 80 years. Visit wisconsincu.org. Please thank all of our sponsors. Give them a call, drop them an email, visit their business. Tell them thank you for supporting our video streams. Without their help, we wouldn't be here at the Pierce County Fair today. Also, let the Pierce County Fair Board know your appreciation of our streams as well. And again, as always, those of you watching this morning, let us know in the comments section if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. Let us know where you're watching from. Love to hear from you this morning. Fed Nebraska, Beaver Dam, Rochester, Minnesota, even here at the fair as well in the Goat Barn. Good morning to Clayton and also here in Ellsworth as well. Thank you for joining us this morning. Good to hear from you. And you're welcome, Brenda. Again, we
Noah Schumann, please report and check in for Market Steers Class 3. Noah Schumann with your steer that weighs 1,305 pounds. Please report so you're on deck.
Again, Brenda, thank you for the kind words. We appreciate them. And again, thank all of our sponsors as well. Let them know your appreciation. And also don't forget to let the Pierce County Fair Board know as well your appreciation of our live streams. I'll have coverage of the auction later on tonight.
Here we have our group of middleweight steers, and this young man just flat out brought the steer ready to roll today. He's right where he needs to be when you get your hands on him. He's functional, he's stout. I love how his head ties into his shoulders. There's just so much good about this steer, and this man has him on point, ready to go. He's just a logical place for this steer to start with this class. Congratulations to this young man. This steer we have coming in second, this red steer, when you get your hands on him, you get him from behind, he's the next logical place to go. He just doesn't have the extra hair and wow factor, but he's got plenty of muscle. He's practical. He's stout. He can get around. He's just not that extra oomph that you have from a show steer point of view, but he's good in his lines, and you love him when you get him set up and get him in place. This young lady right here, if you wanted to swap him out, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you, other than I'm not as huge of a fan of his hip structure. He's a little more round. Doesn't quite tie into his tail head as nice. He might be a tick stouter, but I also don't know if he's quite as free moving on his rear wheels to get him any higher today in class. This young lady here, she's powering through with this steer. He doesn't necessarily want to behave the best, but she's doing a fantastic job keeping her composure and doing a great job showing him. He's just one that doesn't necessarily give that extra eye appeal, and he's not necessarily getting around the ring the best. He's got power, he's got some substance, just not in that extra oomph to get him any higher today. These two steers that finish up the class, they're the lighter steers on the class. You get your hands on them. Basically, I'm just placing them which has more cover, and I think on the rail will grade out a little better. This young lady steer, he's functional. He's practical. I'm going to preach it all day long, and you're going to get sick and tired of talking about it. But he's not popping on his pasterns. He can get out and move. He just doesn't have the extra center of rib or power or wow factor today to place any higher. This young man as well, he's probably about 100 pounds short where I would like him to be today to be completely finished. Will he grade and do well on the rail? Probably. But I think there's some more product he could put in if he took that steer home today and make a little bit more money if he wanted to.
Congratulations on our second class of lightweight market steers. First blue went to Andrew O'Connor from the River Falls FFA, and second blue to Amber Meyer of Country Partners. Currently in the ring, we have the medium weight market steer class 3 of Kennedy Rasmussen, Noah Schumann, Amber Meyer, Hattie Holmstead, Lane Muse, Ben Niedermeyer, and Adam Kapatsky. On deck and should be checking in with Mrs. Dressen. It should be medium market weight steers class 4.
Watching coverage of the Pierce County Fair Beef Show today, Brian Winnekins from WRDN Radio in Durand. Thank you for joining us today. Wisconsin Beef Council has given us some trivia, and all right, which nutrient found in beef helps deliver oxygen to your muscles and brain? What you think about that? Again, which nutrient found in beef helps deliver oxygen to your muscles and brain? We'll give you that answer here coming up. So that answer to our trivia question from Wisconsin Beef Council, which nutrient found in beef helps deliver oxygen to your muscles and brain? That nutrient is iron. And thank you to the Wisconsin Beef Council providing us with some trivia this morning.
If everybody could give this group of steers a round of applause. So these two steers, when they came in the ring, I already knew where they were somewhat going to be in my mind, but I needed to take time to process how I wanted to go about things. I think where this creamish yellow silver steer kind of has the upper hand, not to take anything away from the ladies' black and white steer. All the parts and pieces fit together a little bit better for me today, especially from the ground up. I think this young lady here, if she would have clipped the bottom of his pasterns a little bit more, it's really giving this odd illusion that he's really popping in his rear pasterns, and I can't necessarily tell. The steer that wins the class, I don't know if he's the freest moving steer, but when you take him from his shoulder, or his neck ties into his shoulder ties into the center cage of his body, all the way through his tail head, he's just the more complete steer in my mind that rises to the top. This young lady's black and white steer, if you want to talk about just sheer amount of carcass and dollar value having the steer with a show steer look, he's a really good one that follows second. If I could change him up, I just wish I could figure out exactly how much he's popping on those rear pasterns, and then fix his hip structure. It's kind of one of my pet peeves when I'm picking out my heifers or my steers that drives me a little bit crazy, is he's rounder in his hip structure, and then he just doesn't quite fit in there quite as well, giving a little bit of an odd illusion on his profile. But a stout, powerful steer that you really love everything about him, and she's done a fantastic job. Then we have this young man in third with just his meat and potatoes kind of Hereford steer. There's a lot of steer there. There's center dimension. He's finished. He feels really good. He's going to grade out. He's structurally sound and gets around. He's just not necessarily your show steer by any means, but this young man should be very proud of this project that he brought in today. This next Hereford calf, we're kind of just going down the ring now. When I get my hands on them, it just gets a little bit more questionable how much coverage they could yield, or how much coverage they have and how much more yield grade they'll have versus one another. I think this young man's steer is probably the next closest to being finished. I'm not a super big fan of his rear wheels, but I can't tell if he's getting out and just doesn't necessarily want to move. He doesn't necessarily have a second gear to get up and get moving around and look pretty, but he's the next closest to being finished and ready to go to market. This young man's black steer, a practical feeder steer. You're not going to take him and put him in the show ring necessarily to compete with the fat, fuzzy ones, but a good steer that's probably about 50 pounds away from being finished, but a very practical feeder steer that young man can be proud of. The next Hereford steer follows in the same suit. Maybe has a little bit more of a structural issue on his rear wheels. He's popping a little bit when he moves out. He could use another 75 pounds as well, but a nice steer that this young man should be proud of. Then this young lady probably actually has the most coverage on her steer and can move up today. But if I had a whole pot load of steers, that's where I'm going to start running into a few questions. He's straight on his front end. He's straight on his rear wheels. Will he grade out quite nicely? Yes, no question about that. But just from a feedlot or a feeding standpoint, his structure is where it just drops him down to the bottom. He's not able to get around and move, and his front and rear wheels just aren't where I want them to be today.
Winning that last class, Adam Kapatsky, and second blue was Amber Meyer.
Congratulations on our last class of market steers in the medium weight, class 3. First blue went to Adam Kapatsky and second blue to Amber Meyer, both of Country Partners. Currently in the ring, we have the medium weight market steers, class number 4. On deck, and you should be checking in, is class number 5, heavyweight market steers. At the conclusion of class 5, we'll have all of our first and second blues come back so that we can pick our champion and reserve champion market animal, or our market beef animal.
Watching coverage of the Pierce County Fair Beef Show, Brian Winnikins from WRDN Radio in Durand. Thank you for joining us today. Please thank all of our sponsors. Our video streaming service is in partnership with the Wisconsin Soybean Marketing Board. Visit wisoybean.org and learn how Wisconsin soybean growers are fueling Wisconsin. Also, Durand Smokehouse, Highway 85 Durand. Visit Durand Smokehouse for all of your grilling needs. While you're there, don't forget to ask about the beef and pork bundles too. Oh, and pick up some beef sticks from Durand Smokehouse. Also, Dunn Energy, your Touchstone Energy partner. NTech, your premier communications and entertainment provider, Durand. And Sundstrom and Company, Durand, your local tax experts. It's time to get ready for end-of-year tax planning. You can call Sundstrom at 715-672-4425. That's 715-672-4425 to schedule that appointment. You can also visit them on their website as well. Please thank all of our sponsors. Give them a call, drop them an email, visit their business. Tell them thank you for supporting our video streams. Without their help, we wouldn't be here at the Pierce County Fair Beef Show today. Have the livestock auction coming up later on tonight. Hope to have coverage of the livestock show or livestock auction as well. Again, today's coverage also really thank you to the Pierce County Extension Service as well. They are allowing me to use their internet access, which is much more stable than what we had yesterday. And so we appreciate them allowing us to access their internet to be able to provide you this stream today. Those of you watching, let us know in the comment section in our Facebook or our YouTube channel. Let us know where you're watching from. Love to hear from you this morning. We have some folks from Nebraska, Rochester, Beaver Dam, here in Ellsworth, even at the fair as well, in the Goat Barn. So let us know where you're watching from in the comment section. Cloudy day here in Ellsworth for this Friday of the Pierce County Fair. But if you do get a chance, if you are in the area, come on out and join us this weekend. A lot of great different fair food as well. I've had well, let's see. I've had the traditional brats, hot dogs. I had the roast beef dinner yesterday as well. That was really good. No, I don't do rides. Too old for that. But there was a time when the Tilt-A-Whirl was the bomb. That was a lifetime ago. Had a chance to have some maple bacon coffee yesterday. Oh, yeah, that was a treat to say the least. That's a treat you can't beat. Again, in Class 4 of our medium weight market steers.
If everybody could give this group of kids a nice round of applause for the time after they brought these calves in for us. This young lady that's going to start out the class, he's just your biggest, your burliest, your stoutest bone, biggest features steer today, and he's got a little bit of show look to him. Now, if I wanted to change him up, I would want to change him in the rear wheels a little bit, and then change up his hip structure and how he fits in his tail head. When she gets him set up on the profile, she really gets the most out of this steer, and she's doing a fantastic job in that respect. We're getting into these fatter steers, so we're thinking about, okay, how are these guys still getting around if they were in a real-world setting? Can they get to the bunk, to the water, and lay back down again? And if it's super hot, are they able to be functional and still make it to the locker when it's all said and done? Now it gets a little bit more interesting between the two black steers for second and third. I'm going with this young lady steer in second. I think he's just the fresher appearing steer. Not to take anything away from the steer in third place, but you get your hands on him, he's pretty chubby. And if I would probably pull about 25 to 50 pounds off him, he might have the edge today and sheer muscle and power, but I think this young lady's cutability on the steer and the fact that he is structurally correct and well put together just gives him a slight edge over the steer in third place, but just a stout, powerful steer that gives him edge on the other one. Just a little too much coverage for me to go move him up into second. This young man steer, he made it out to the ring today, even though he got his foot stepped on. This steer I really like, but I probably liked him a heck of a lot more about 75 pounds ago. He probably went through about a month extra worth of Taco Tuesdays for me, and he just really should pull it back a hair. He is a little bit on the, he's gonna grade out prime. He is a little fat. He's not overly pretty, but he packs a lot of punch when you get your hands on him, get behind him. There's just a lot of steer there that whoever ends up buying that thing's going to be quite happy. Then this young lady, just a trimmer steer. He's got enough coverage. He's prettier. I was just a little disappointed when I got my hands on him and get into his flank. There wasn't a lot of extra fat on top of him. I think he's going to yield super high, but I think they're going to be a little disappointed maybe how he grades in comparison. But a very practical made steer. I wish probably about 2 more weeks with him, and I think he'd be right on point and he'd move up to that second or third place in this class. Yes, young man steer with the next black steer. He is your feeder steer. If you wanted a whole potload of stuff and you wanted to take him out to Nebraska, that's just a good steer. Is he going to blow you away by any means? No. Is he sound and practical? Yes. Is he easy fleshing in the whole scheme of things for his age? Yes. There's nothing you can really pick apart other than he may not be your flashy show steer today, but that's a really good one that young man should be proud of. This young lady's Hereford steer, I really love how she shows. She's a fantastic showman and the poise. She got a heck of a lot out of this steer. He's just, when you get your hands on him and you get behind him, there's not much steer there. There's a lot of length. He's probably going to have a big ribeye, but I just don't know when I get my hands on him and you really feel him. He doesn't have the coverage you like to be for this day and age. Then this young man here that follows up the class, he came back in from one of the previous class. He's probably the greenest steer. Doesn't have the most coverage when you get your hands on him. He has a lot of fat on his tail head, but not a heck of a lot anywhere else, and just not the sheer amount of muscle and power that we'd like to see to move up any higher today.
Winning that class, Cora Schaefer. Or check that, Katie Johnson winning that class. Katie Johnson winning that class. Cora Schaefer coming in second. Coming up next, we have the big boys, the heavyweight market steers coming in.
Congratulations on our last class of market steers. First blue went to Katie Johnson of Town and Country. Second blue to Cora Schaefer of Olivet Otters. Currently in the ring, we've got our heavyweight market steers. At the conclusion of this class, we will select our champion market beef animal and our reserve champion. And then also in this class is our rate of gain champion for beef steers, which is Tyler Niedermeyer with an average daily gain of 3.51 pounds per day. He looks very surprised, so good job, Tyler.
Thank you to our video stream sponsors, including Security Financial Bank, where electronic banking is easy. Visit sfbank.com for more information. Elsivia, leading member-owned agriculture fuel cooperative serving Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Illinois. Visit elsivia.com. J.M. Watkins, Highway 10, just outside of Plum City. Visit J.M. Watkins as we get ready for the Labor Day holiday weekend. Visit them for all of your holiday weekend needs. The brats, the hot dogs, the hamburgers, the steaks. They have maple-flavored sausage. Oh, boy, Rhonda and I do like that. That's at J.M. Watkins, Highway 10, just outside of Plum City. You can also visit them online and see some of the things they have as well. Please thank all of our sponsors. Give them a call, drop them an email, visit their business, tell them thank you for supporting our video streams. Again, without their help, we wouldn't be here at the Pierce County Fair today. Some very, very nice weather for the fair for the animals. We'll admit that. It's a little bit cooler. The other thing I've noticed, and I can even see it, you can't see it on the video stream, but I can see it looking through the barn. Trees are starting to change. I see a maple tree starting to change just right across the street from the from the fairgrounds. Seriously, it's August. I mean, I do like fall, but really, and have you noticed days getting shorter? We had our last 8 p.m. sunset here, I think a few days ago. We won't have one now officially, the sunset after 8 until May. Again, we have the heavyweight market steers here in the ring at the moment. Down to our final two.
Once again, are they judging over there? If everybody could give this group of steer exhibitors a round of applause, please. Now we're getting into our heavyweight steers, and I'm just trying to. They're very similar. The one has a little bit more capacity, one has a little bit more muscle, but I think from the ground up, structure-wise, they are very similar. And I'm not going to really give either one a hard time because we're getting to this fat point. I think what gives this black steer the heads up today is the amount of muscle and coverage he has. That's going to be your highest yielding steer. The Hereford, although he may have more center rib shape, he's just going to have a lot of extra fat, I think, on him, and his yield grade is going to be a little bit smaller. Is there more product there? Maybe. I just think there's going to be a heck of a lot of waste that goes along with a steer. So that's just my two differentiating factors between those two steers. I'm going with the fresher steer that has more muscle versus the one that was probably about 2 weeks ago. If you peeled a little bit of him off, he probably would have the edge today. So that's how I'm going to go with my 1 and 2. This young man in third place, he's just the plainer steer. He's got enough coverage. He has a little extra muscle, but he's kind of flat in his muscle. I would also like to see him maybe brought down a few notches. He's a larger steer, and he probably has a lot more room to put on. I think he's still going to grade well. There's a lot of quality product on that steer. He's just not flashy and brings you a lot of extra eye appeal. This young man with his black steer, kind of the same thing, just in a little bit smaller package. He doesn't have any extra bone, but he is structurally sound. He can get around the ring, and there's not a whole bunch of extra fat on that steer, so he is going to yield quite well. He's just not as muscular and as stout as the steers to move up any further today. This Hereford steer that comes next, he's plain, not a lot of extra muscle. But when this young man does get him set up on the side and gets his head up, he has a very nice look. He's good in his tail head. He's got enough coverage. Just a solid fat steer for this young man. This young lady with her black steer that comes next, once again, just even a little bit more plainer than the next. He might be stouter, but once you actually get your hands on him for how big he is, I'm a little curious to see how he grades out. You can get all your hands on him, and he's got a little extra more rib, not as much coverage as I thought he would. When I originally had my hands on him, I had him placed a little bit higher in class. But when it was all said and done, I just don't know as much product there. The youngest man here with probably the largest steer, he's just not where he needs to be. He's a big steer. You get your hands on him, there's not a lot of fat coverage. He probably needs 100, 150 more pounds for his frame score today to go any higher. A functional, practical steer that somebody will enjoy after they buy him after the sale. But I think if this young man with how large a frame that steer is, he could use a lot more groceries and get a lot more dollar value for him. What am I saying? Oh, oh, okay. Great.
All right. Oh, all right. Currently in the ring, we have Tyler Niedermeyer with his rate of gain champion steer. Please give him a round of applause. There we go. In our last class, our first blue went to Tessa Asher of Olivet Otterers. Second blue went to Lane Muse of Heartland Hustlers. And third blue to Tyler Niedermeyer of Olivet Otters. Currently coming into the ring, we should have the first and second blues so that we can pick our champion market beef steer and our reserve champion market beef steer.
Continuing coverage of the Pierce County Fair Beef Show as we're in the champion drive. Brian Winnikins from WRDN Radio, thank you for joining us this morning. Let us know where you're watching us from in the comment section. Would love to hear from you this morning. This from the Wisconsin Beef Council. Where does Wisconsin rank among all other states for the number of cattle and calves? Again, where does Wisconsin rank among all other states for the number of cattle and calves? Is it 20th, 40th, or 9th? Give you that answer here coming up. Okay, our trivia question from Wisconsin Beef Council. Where does Wisconsin rank among all other states for the number of cattle and calves? Is it 20th, 40th, or 9th? The correct answer, 9th, which does make some sense because remember, we have all those dairy cattle and calves as well. Again, this is our champion drive for the market beef animals. We have still on the way a pair of market animals. And then we have our dairy market steer and animal meat sale animals. That's on the dairy side.
if everybody could give this group of kids a round of applause that are in the ring for this final drive for the steers. So while I have you all hostage here and have you on pins and needles, I just want to make a quick note here. So I really want all of you parents and kids, especially the kids, go out and thank your parents, thank your ag advisors, thank those people that are around you on the daily basis to help you get to this point. It doesn't matter if you're in this ring, if you already went back to the barn, if you're in the heifer show, you aren't showing steers. It's really important to note what those individuals are doing for you, whether it's their time, their money, their friendship, to be around you and deal with you some days, because everybody has a good day and a bad day. It's a lot to take in when we're doing this thing. You have to remember that it doesn't matter any of these petty differences we have at county fair or any of these other things, that we are 1% of a percent that gets this opportunity to be in the ring, be together, get to play cards when you're little on the side in the show box, and just enjoy growing up in an industry that we're really proud and we get this opportunity to be in. So I want all of you parents, individuals that are here watching the show, just take in these kids. This is their moment. They've been working for it all summer long. Some of these kids might have never made it in here before, and this might be the first time they've been waiting for it their whole life. And it doesn't matter if you show at a national level or at a junior level here at your county fair. Every moment is important to these kids, regardless, if they get a last place ribbon and they made it through just because they got their foot stepped on or ran over, or if they get the slap today. It's just take it all in and enjoy it, because I would give just about anything to be able to go back and sit in the cooler with my brother who's halfway. He's in the military and he's going all over the place right now. I would give anything to go back with my brother and hang out with him in the cooler, even though we were tired and working and running all over the place to different junior nationals. Those were some of the best days of my life with my younger brother. Fortunately enough, I have a 6-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son. My 6-year-old, she was able to come with me, and she helped judge Russ County and Bayfield County, and she was so excited she got to judge the Dress Up Your Lamb contest. I know it doesn't necessarily apply to this, but it's those little moments like this in this ring. It doesn't matter. They will remember it for the rest of their lives, and most of your families and friends will too. So I'm going to go out. There's one steer that hit me super hard. He's got everything I want in a steer. He's got the power. He's got the mass. He's structurally correct. Then there's a steer for me in my mind that follows up closely right away. And I'll go out and pick those two, and we'll move on to the breeding show.
Congratulations for our champion market steer goes to Andrew O'Connor of the River Falls FFA. Reserve champion market steer to Adam Kapansky of Country Partners. An honorable mention to Amber Meyer of Country Partners. We will now be working and starting our dairy market steer classes. So now entering the ring, we should have dairy market steers class number 1. Oh, just kidding. I'm sorry. Nope, it's the para-market animals. You're right. Sorry. Just kidding. All right, para-market animals. All right, so we should have Brianna Blanche, Amber Meyer, Lane Muse, and Tyler Niedermeyer coming into the ring with their para-market animal.
Looks like she already showed. Because we're up to here.
I know she showed before, but she got a second one. But just in the category, where in the program are we at? Okay, para market animals. Thank you.
Again, congratulations to Andrew O'Connor with the champion market beef animal, reserve champion market beef animal Adam Kapatsky, and we're in the pair of market animals now. And up next we'll have our dairy steers.
We'll just keep things moving along here. I guess I don't want to talk too much about the pairs because we talked them individually in class, but this would be no different in my mind if I was taking a pen of bulls or heifers out to Denver for shorthorns or Simmentals or whatever. Who has the most typical type, kind, who makes a good set? And it's just hard to take my third and fourth overall in my mind steer and not have them win this class. They are maybe a tick different in type and kind, but in terms of readiness and structure and pieces, those would be the ones that win. Then it gets a little bit more interesting. It's going to be the set of Herefords in here in the middle. That's going to be the pair that wins. They're both structurally correct. They're very similar in their type of kind and probably actually match up a little bit better, but they don't have the extra look, which doesn't put them over the ones that win the class in general, but a good pair of calves that come in second. Then we have the individuals here who will be third. We have a heifer and a steer here. They're both stout featured, middle, big rib, middled, well put together calves. They're just a logical place for me to put in third. I wish we just had a set of steers or a set of heifers to bring in here versus a steer and a heifer, but just a good set of cattle that you recognize for that, and that's logically where you end up placing them. Then these two young men here were the Herefords. They were kind of both in the middle of their classes, and that's kind of why they were sitting here. Do they match? And a little bit of type and kind, sure. But there's just nothing that really blows you away about that set. But they are a consistent set nonetheless that are market ready and a good set for these young men to bring in for us to present. Thank you.
Congratulations on our pair of market animals. First blue goes to Amber Meyer of Country Partners, and second blue to Lane Muse of Heartland Hustlers. We will now, see, I fixed it. We'll be starting the dairy market steers. So, class number 1, we should have Lane Kwaladinsky, Leah Johnson, Landon Olson, and Nora Johnson coming into the ring. Dairy market class 2 and 3, you should be getting ready and checking in.
Here we have our first group of dairy steers. It's a very logical place for me to start with this young man. When you get your hands on that steer, he's the most market ready. He also has the most depth and dimension. He's structurally sound, and he's pretty much ready to go. Could you beg to differ and maybe add 100 more pounds because of his frame? Sure. But in terms of market readability today, that's the first place for me to start right off the back. Then this young lady is probably next closest to follow. Little less bone and power in the whole scheme of things. No, you're fine. But when you get your hands on him, he has enough coverage to where he needs to be today. Once again, would I like to maybe add 100 pounds to this steer? Sure, but from a market readiness standpoint, he is ready to go. The two steers that follow at the end, they're going to be in that lower choice category. I don't know how well they're necessarily going to compare, but if you take in consideration that Holsteins in the whole scheme of thing actually grade higher on average at a leaner weight, I don't really have much of a concern since they have a little bit of coverage. Good steers, just not quite as fat and chubby and ready to go as the other ones in front of them, but thank you for bringing those two in.
In our first class of dairy market steers, first blue went to Linnea Johnson of Tana Country. No. Second blue to Landon Olson of Heartland Hustlers. No? All right. And currently in the ring, we have our second class of market steers, of dairy market steers, and class 3 it should be on deck. I apologize. In the last class, Landon Olson was first blue and Linnea was second.
Watching coverage of the 2026 Pierce County Fair Beef Show. Brian Winnikins from WRDN Radio. Thank you for joining us. We have some more beef trivia from Wisconsin Beef Council. Did you know that cattle can help us upcycle things that we can't eat into protein? So what percentage of a cattle's diet is forage and plant leftovers that would otherwise just go to waste? This from Ohio State University Extension. Is it 50%, 90%, or 85%? Again, did you know cattle help us upcycle things we can't eat into protein? What percentage of a cattle's diet is forage and plant leftovers that would otherwise go to waste? Is it 50%, 90%, or 85%? We'll give you that answer here coming up. And those of you watching us on Facebook and or YouTube, in the comments section, let us know where you're watching from. Love to hear from you this morning. We'll have coverage of the livestock auction coming up later on tonight. All right, I'll give you that answer. Did you know that cattle can help us upcycle things that we can't eat into protein? What percentage of cattle's diet is forage and plant leftovers that would otherwise go to waste? This from the Ohio State University Extension. Was it 50%, 90%, or 85%? Correct answer, 90%.
We can give these kids a round of applause for bringing this Holstein steers in. So what it comes down to, and a little bit of swap here in my mind, I'll just kind of walk you through. I do think the young lady with the steer in second probably has a little bit more muscle. I just think when I get my hands on him, he doesn't have as much groceries as I would like for him to be in condition versus being market ready. That's where the young lady steer in first place. That's where she just takes that little bit of an extra bump and swaps those steers around. He has enough coverage. He's good in his structure. I actually like his set to his rear wheels a little bit better. Could we have trimmed his toes up a little bit to help him move around a little bit more? Sure. But I do like his feet and leg structure along with the extra coverage just to put him over the top, not to take anything away from the lady in second. I think that steer, if you put another 100 pounds on him, just wipes this class up with no problems whatsoever. He's just a little bit on the greener side for me. If I wish I had a little more condition when I get my hands on him. The young man in third, one of the bigger steers in the class. I originally liked his look, his type and kind. He's got a longer muscle going down to his lower third. Just when you get your hands on him, he's just not as ready for the market as the other steers in this class for his frame, age, and such. Then this young man with one of the tallest steers, he just needs more groceries. Does he have enough coverage? Sure, but I wish he probably had maybe 200 more pounds on him to get him to where he really needs to be today. You get your hands on his rib, he's just not quite there, but a very functional, structurally correct steer that just doesn't have that extra groceries today to go up any higher.
Congratulations in our last class of dairy market steers, Addie Johnson from Town and Country with a first blue, and second blue to Lauren Stapleton of Town and Country with their second blue. Now entering the ring is our third and final class of dairy market steers. We have Eline Freund, David Stapleton, and Lauren Stapleton. At the end of this, we will pick our champion and reserve for dairy steer, and then also we will, during this class, we will award our rate of gain.
Young lady, if you want to bring your steer around for us, and I'll talk him through. This young lady brings a steer that's just about that 1,600-pound range, and I think he's just very adequate in every way that Holstein shear should be. You get your hands on, he probably has the most coverage out of all of them I put my hands on today. He's really long in his rear end with those extra muscles we have. He gets around pretty well. Could we be a little particular and picky? Could he set down his rear wheels in a feedlot possession? Sure, but just the steer that he is market ready for his size, for how large he is. He's not an extra frame score tall. He's probably a frame score smaller, and he's ready to go to the locker. This young man here, or between these two young men, they're very similar. When you get your hands on them, I think what really just kind of just puts me in the better light with a steer here is if we're talking about a feedlot situation, you're pushing these things to 1,500 to 1,800 pounds. If you get to them and you got them standing there, the young man steer in front, he's just a little better footed on his front. They're squared up. The young man in second place, his steer toes out a little bit more. Not to say that he's not a good steer in his own right, but he is also a little fresher and greener in his touch. He's probably not where I quite want him to be for being market ready. Is he good enough? Sure, but he could use a little more groceries as well. But a very nice group of Holstein steers to come out today.
Currently in the beef ring, we have our rate of gain winner for the dairy market steers with Lauren Stapleton with an average daily gain of 3.176 pounds per day. Please give her a round of applause. At this time, we'll bring our first and second blues back in so that we can pick our champion and reserve dairy steer. On deck, we will have our pair of market animals, and then after we conclude pair of market animals, we will go into the dairy beef crosses. So, dairy beef cross lightweight market steers class 1, you should be getting ready and heading toward the ring.
We give these individuals a nice round of applause for our dairy steer grand champion drive. kind of like I talked in the feeders, you have to think about this in the whole scheme of things like beef, but the fact of it, they are dairy. These steers are the byproduct of milk, if you want to take that into consideration. But they are also feeding the world at the same time, like I talked about in the beef deal. You don't put it in perspective until you think about, well, I run 100 cows, this guy runs 25 cows, this guy runs 50 cows, this guy runs 400 cows. Well, that dairy down the road runs 1,000 dairy cows, and they're spitting out a whole bunch of half Angus, Holstein, and Holstein steers that are going right into your food. So if you want to take that in consideration, Holstein and these dairy guys, you got to give them a lot of credit for what they're doing in the world. Not are they only giving us a high protein drink, but they're also bringing us a high quality protein at the same time. There's one steer here that really, in the whole scheme of things, he's a little bit more moderate for his weight class. He had more coverage than I just like when I get my hands on him. He's probably the best coverage steer. He has enough muscle. He's adequate. He's good in his profile. Would I like to maybe set him in his rear pasterns a little bit more? But the steer that I like the most and I get my hands on, if I was going to feed out a whole bunch of them, would be this young lady right here. She'll be my grand champion steer. I just want to take a chance and get my hands on a steer that came out of the class that won the overall deal. When it comes back to me in my mind, though, there is one steer that I kind of had picked out, even for my champion, a little give or take and swap. But there's one steer that, once again, had a little bit more condition, might be a little moderate in his type and kind. But when you get your hands on him structurally from the ground up, he looks good as well. And I can't take many parts away from him. He's actually even a little prettier in his front third. But it's going to be my younger steer with more coverage that I get my hands on. He's going to be my reserve.
Laura Stapleton with the champion dairy steer, reserve dairy steer Landon Olson. Congratulations to those two exhibitors.
Congratulations, our champion dairy steer is with Lauren Stapleton of Town and Country. Reserve champion dairy steer goes to Landon Olson of Heartland Hustlers, and honorable mention to Addie Johnson of Town and Country. At this time, we should have 2 entries in the pair of market animals with Landon Olson and Lauren Stapleton. Please bring those into the ring. On deck, and you should be out there checked in, is our dairy beef cross market steers, our lightweight class.
here we have a fun set of pair of steers for the ring. What I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to leave these two. They are going to be the ones that win your class, and these two will be the ones that win reserve. It's actually very nice. You have two steers that are the same size, same look, type, make. One's maybe just a little bit on the thinner side, but then you have your grand champion that comes out of this class, and vice versa. You have this young man, two steers that are almost identical, the same size, same structure, and then you have your reserve champion that came out of this class as well. So I'm going to leave these two. These are going to be your class winner. These will be your reserve, but very nice set of steers you guys both bring out here today. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
First blue in our pair of market steers went to Lauren Stapleton, and second blue to Landon Olson. Now entering the ring, we'll be starting our dairy beef cross market steers. So we should have entering the ring lightweight market steers class number 1. On deck should be market class number 2, and getting ready also market class number 3 for dairy beef cross steers.
Excuse me. Watching coverage of the Pierce County Fair Beef Show in our dairy market steers. I'm Brian Winnikins. Thank you to our video streaming sponsors, including Compeer Financial, a member-owned farm credit cooperative serving and supporting agriculture and rural communities. Visit Compeer.com for more information. Bluff Country Feed and Seed, Mondovi, your hometown feed and seed supplier, serving Mondovi, Durand, Oliva, Arcadia, and the surrounding area with nutrition consultation, feed and forage sampling, feed delivery, and seed needs. Visit bluffcountryfs.com. And O'Galley Cheese Factory, Highway 25, Durand, open 7 days a week, featuring cheese, locally made beef sticks, sausages, pizza, ice cream, and a whole lot more. You can also visit them online and order through their website. They do ship nationwide. That's O'Galley Cheese Factory, Highway 25, Durand. And Numbers Are Us, your daily money managers, 3rd Avenue West, Durand. Visit Rhonda online at numbersareus.com and learn how a daily money manager can help your family. Please thank all of our sponsors. Give them a call, drop them an email, visit their business, tell them thank you for supporting our video streams. Without their help, we would not be here today at the Pierce County Fair Beef Show, so please thank them for their support.
Arabella Gonzalez and Elena Becco, please report to check-in at the far end of the beef show ring with your medium market weight dairy beef cross. Arabella and Elena, please bring your steers over to get checked in. Heavyweight market steers for the dairy beef cross, class 3, you should be getting ready. Wyatt Mark, Kylie Mark, Hattie Holmstead, Lily Lubick, and Eline Freund.
Young lady, if you want to pull your steer out front. Here we have a steer that just rises to the top from the perspective of he's a really good combination of beef dairy. He's stout, he's moderate, he's got lots of coverage on him. He's going to be a little easier fleshing so he can get in and out of the feedlot in a lot quicker way. This young lady's just doing a fantastic job showing and getting him here today, so thank you for bringing him in. The next logical spot for me is when I get my hands on him, although he's not the prettiest steer. He has the right amount of coverage and a little extra muscle and power compared to the steers that are next in class. He's the most next market ready in the whole scheme of thing that's ready to go on the rail. Could we change him up a little bit so he can get out and be a little more freer moving? Sure, but he just carries the most product in the class, sitting there second. Then this next lady, as she comes out, I did a little bit of swapping at the end. We're just going down here from who's more market ready from bottom to top. Structure-wise, they're all fairly similar. They literally, you couldn't tell me they didn't come out of some group of Holstein cows all bred to Angus. They're all very similar. We're just going from this young lady. She's got the most coverage from market readiness. The young lady here that's next, a very nice steer as well. Just a little less cover when you get your hands on it. And then the one that comes in last just isn't quite ready for me today to go. But she has enough coverage. She'll be fine in that respect. But another 100 pounds would go a long way for that steer on the rail. Thank you.
Congratulations on our first class of lightweight market steers in the Dairy Beef Cross. Our first blue went to Presley Garrett of the Elm Valley Patriots, and second blue to Kaylee Lansing of the Baden Rock Rockets. Now currently in the ring we have our medium weight market steers of Dairy Beef Cross, and on deck we should have the heavyweight market steers.
Watching continuing coverage of the Pierce County Fair Beef Show. We are in our second class of beef dairy market steer crosses for the animal meat sale. Thank you to Pierce Pepin Cooperative Services, your Touchstone Energy partner. Visit Pierce Pepin Cooperative Services at their booth here at the Pierce County Fair and learn about some of the new services they're offering, including battery backup for your home. can learn more, visit Pierce Pepin Cooperative Services either online or at their booth here at the Pierce County Fair. 24/7 in West Wisconsin Telecom, building smart fiber optic communities from the ground up. Learn more, visit wwt.coop.
Here we have a very nice class of dairy cross steers. The one I'm going to lead off with in terms of market readiness, you get your hands on him and he's good to go. He has a little bit more eye appeal as well too, how he fits in his hip all through his tail head. If you look at his rear wheels, maybe we could set him back a little bit, but he's set back in his shoulder nicely. He can get around, but just a really nice practical feeder steer to start off the class. Then this young lady, she'll be in second. I think where he just gives up a little bit and compared to the other one. If you actually get behind him, the steer in first, he just has a little bit more power. I don't want to take anything away from this steer whatsoever. I do like his foot set a little better than the one in first, but I just don't think he's got quite the same amount of coverage and the same amount of look as the class winner today. This young lady in third with her Normandy cross, it's a very interesting deal because you have that little bit of dual purpose on top of dairy. I think that's where we're getting a little bit more size and performance with this steer. I wish he had 100 more pounds, and I think that Normandy blood would take over a little bit more and give him a little extra added power and bonus product, but just not enough today to move up any further in class.
Congratulations in our last class. First blue went to Elena Beckel of Elmwood FFA, and Presley Garretts of the Elm Valley Patriots was the second blue.
Thank you to Provisions Health, 3rd Avenue West Durand, changing the way you experience healthcare. Learn more, visit provisions.health for more information. Chippewa Valley Energy, serving the Chippewa Valley since 1922. Learn more at ChippewaValleyEnergy.com. And Wisconsin Credit Union, we belong to you, serving members for over 80 years. Visit wisconsincu.org. Please thank all of our sponsors. Give them a call, drop them an email, visit their business, tell them thank you for supporting our broadcasts. Without their help, we wouldn't be here at the Pierce County Fair. We'll have coverage of the livestock auction tonight from the Pierce County Fair. Our coverage beginning at about 6:25 or so this evening. Those of you watching today on our Facebook or YouTube channel, let us know in the comment section where you're watching from. Love to hear from you this morning or getting ready to be early afternoon. Sun's starting to come out here at the Pierce County Fairgrounds.
Young man, if you want to bring your steer out for us here. This White Sox steer that this young man brought in for us, he's just the logical spot for me to start everything off. He's modern in his make. He's built a little more beefy. But that thing, if you put a whole potload of those things together and send it to JBS or over Green Bay, you're going to make a whole bunch of money. He's finished. He's going to grade. He's structurally correct from the ground up. He's not going to give you a lot of problems if you were to feed out a whole bunch of these. Is he overly pretty in his front third? No, I'm not going to give him extra credit for that. But that's just a really good fat steer that's got a little bit of Holstein in him. This young lady that brings out her white one, he's the meat wagon of the whole class. He's big butted, he's big topped, he's long spine, a whole bunch of loin. He just disappoints me a little bit when I get my hands on him that he probably doesn't have as much coverage as you would like to see. But if you're talking from a pure grading standpoint and the amount of muscle and product you're going to get when this steer is hanging on the rail, that's the place I want to be in second. This young lady with her steer coming in third. He's kind of just a lighter muscled, smaller bone version of the white steer. Extremely long. He has lots of muscle from behind. Is he overly blown out with muscle? No, not in any way, shape, or form. But you do appreciate him from the ground up. He's structurally correct. He can get out. And that young lady got a heck of a lot out of that steer. She's doing a great job showing, keeping his head up and making him look extremely pretty. This young lady that comes next in class, she's struggling with a steer. He's just not giving us the best look. He has enough condition. He's just not overly pretty. I don't know if he's quite ready to be on the fat truck yet, but a good steer that you can't really be too hard on in any way, shape, or form. He's just a really good feeder steer. This young man that comes in last, he's just the lightest muscle steer with the least amount of condition. Not that he can't get around the ring and move. Does he have some center of body? Yes, but he's a smooth-shouldered steer that has a nice look to him. He's just not where he needs to be versus the other steers in class today.
Currently in the ring, congratulations to Eli Freund for his rated gain champion with the Dairy Beef Cross with 3.1124 pounds per day. In our last class, our first blue went to Eli Freund and our second blue to Hattie Homestead. Currently in the ring, we have our pair of Dairy Beef Cross market animals. Sorry, I apologize. These are our first blues for our final drive.
want to keep things moving along so we won't take 2 laps. I kind of had one already picked out in my mind, and then reserve gets just a little bit more interesting. There's one steer for me if I had to take a whole pot load up to Green Bay or JBS or send something out to Nebraska. He's just chock full of everything. He's finished. He's ready to go. I mean, it's just a bonus that he's the one that was also our champion for average daily gain. Our young man here, this will be our grand champion, Berry Beef Cross. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. Get back in there. Then for reserve, it gets a little bit more interesting. We have the first year out of the first class. He's moderate, he's small. He has enough condition on him. The one thing is I've had to take a little more time to analyze him. He can get out and move, but his feet, he's got a little bit of a curl thing going on. So that questioned my little structural integrity I have in my mind. Then we had the steer that came out of the middleweight class, a good Angus Holstein steer you appreciate. He's good in his lines. That's kind of what taught him to the top of that class of dairy Holsteins, is just how pretty he looks from the side profile. Is he overly powerful? No. Is he structurally correct? Yes. Then you had the white crossed up steer that came out of the Grand Champions class. For me today, there's one that just kind of follows suit for readiness and being able to follow from a product standpoint, and I'm going to go with the white steer. That's going to be the one that closely matches. I don't want to take anything away from this young lady in the first class. She's going to be my honorable mention steer if I had to pick one. He's just a little small for me today. He has an adequate amount of fat. I just don't know if we're going to get our dollar value out of that steer when it's all said and done. And a little bit of the structural integrity on his back rear wheels, how he's starting to roll out on his toes. That makes me question if he adds another 100 pounds. He's just not quite there for me if I had to worry about feeding a whole bunch of them out.
Congratulations to Eli Freund with a champion Dairy Beef Cross. And our reserve Dairy Beef Cross went to Hattie Homestead. An honorable mention to Presley Garrett. Now entering the ring will be our class of market heifers. At the conclusion of this class, we'll be doing our overall market animal drive. So if you won a beef steer or dairy steer, dairy cross, make sure that you've got that on deck and ready to go, our champion and our reserves. So right now we have our market heifers entering the ring. We have 4 entries in this class.
Well, we got one of them that wants, I want to take a nap. And a special thank you to the Wisconsin Soybean Marketing Board. They are our partners for our video streaming service at our website at realcountry1430.com under the live streaming tab, and visit wisoybean.org and learn how Wisconsin soybean farmers are
currently have our market heifers in the class. We're also going to be getting ready for our overall market animal drive. So we're going to need some people back in the ring, or back on deck to check in with Pam. So we need Andrew O'Connor with his champion market beef steer. We need Adam Kapatsky with his reserve market beef steer. We will need Lauren Stapleton with her champion dairy steer, and Landon Olson with his reserve dairy steer. We'll need Eli Freund with his champion dairy beef cross steer and Hattie Homestead with her reserve dairy beef cross steer. Please go out and be on deck and check in with Mrs. Dressen.
We could give these group of kids a round of applause for these market heifers. This young man just brings in a beast to come in and just take the class right off the back. If she, of course, she's in the market heifer deal, so she's fat, she's chubby. She's probably a little bit over chubby for me today, but she's ready to go. If you're really going to take her and put her on a rail, that thing's just a powerhouse, chock full of muscle. She's plenty of condition. She comes great out for her front third, ties into her neck and shoulder, and just has a fantastic profile when you get her set up. Then this young man, he's got the heifer that for me falls kind of in the middle. She's practically made. She's structurally sound. She's fat and chubby. She's ready to go, but she's not getting outside of herself when she moves or anything. She's just finished. She could go on the rail with no problems asked for this young man. Then it gets a little bit more interesting. If we were swapping things around in a breeding deal, we would completely swap them around. But we're talking about a market class here today of being finished in this Holstein Angus cross or partial cross of it's got some dairy in it. He's just more market ready for me today. Would I like to make him a little more free moving? Sure. But just in terms of being able to go on a truck and be a part of the food industry, that steer's ready today. This young lady, her heifer is smaller. She's not quite as chubby, and that's fine. She's not quite as market ready today. I do love all the parts and pieces of her. She's put together a little bit better than the second and third place, but she's just not market ready for me today versus the other one. So very nice heifer for her to finish out the class.
Currently, we have Jordy Kosen in the ring with his rate of gain, as he's the rate of gain champion for the market heifers with a rate of gain at 2.5863 pounds per day. Congratulations to Jordy. All right. We will now be working and doing our overall champion market animal and reserve drive. So we'll be having our champion beef steer and reserve, our champion dairy steer and reserve, our champion dairy and beef cross steer and reserve, and our market heifer champion and reserve coming into the ring to pick our overall grand champion overall market animal, a reserve champion overall market animal, and an honorable mention.
All right, this is for all the marbles here at the Beef Show.
Again, thank you to our judge today for being here and spending our time. And on your program, it also notes some sponsors to say thank you to. We had Little Beefers last night and some other thank yous. So the special thank you to the Dresden family for helping in the ring and making sure everything goes smoothly. Thank you to Randy and Kim Meyer family for sponsoring the medals for Little Beefers. And to Brown Show Cattle and Kapatsky Cattle Company for sponsoring the halters for the Little Beefers. At the conclusion of our champion drive, we'll be having bred and owned market animals. So if you have a bred and owned market animal that you plan to bring in the ring, Class 1 should be getting on deck. So Class 1 bred and owned market animals. If for some reason you're scratching, please come let us know. Okay, but Class 1 and Class 2 bred and owned market animals, you should be getting ready, and Class 1 should be heading over to check in.
Again, this is for Grand Champion overall. Again, coming up tonight at about 6:25, we'll have our livestock auction as well. Right now we are doing the grand champion overall for the market animal.
If everybody could give these 4 individuals a round of applause for this overall market steer drive or market animal drive. So for me, it's pretty straightforward. There's 2. If I had to work on a couple, it would be the young man's steer out front and this young man's market heifer in the back. I like their body shape. I like how the steer in the front comes out of his front third and how his neck matches up to his shoulders. Same thing with this market heifer. She's really good out of her front. She's not overly chubby in her brisket, but she meets up with the top of her shoulders as well. Both of their hips, like I was talking today, one of my pet peeves is tail head and hip structure. Both of them line up really nice. They're square in their top, square in their tail as they come out. I think what it comes down to me, and if I'm... We're being awfully critical. You guys should be very proud of all these steers, these individuals. I talked to the 2 in the middle. They're just not quite what we got for the show steers. They're 2 really good feeder steers. But this young lady, I want to give her props. If she's going to raise Holsteins like this, she's going to make a lot of money in the industry, and she's going to be doing very well for herself. This young man, I told him too, I mean, if he wants to just do this for his rest of his life and make fat steers and send them and work a feedlot, this young man will make a bunch of money with types like this too. But unfortunately, this is like going to prom night, and we want the prettiest boy and the king and queen for homecoming to win. And that's just kind of where I'm stuck with the first and the 4th one. If we're being super critical, and I think what it comes down to is when I got him out in the walk last time, I just wanted to see who could get out and move a little bit better, and I think that's where in my mind I ended up going. And I'm going to go out, I'm going to pick my grand champion. We'll bring the reserve over. We'll bring the reserve back out. But I think for me, there's one that just gets out, moves a little bit better. They're both adequately conditioned. They're both well presented. I don't want to take anything away from them. If somebody wants to swap them out at some point, fine. But I'm going to go with one of my pet peeves that I'm just looking at a little bit better structural integrity from the ground up and the ability to move at this rate. And that's going to be this young man's steer. He's going to be my grand champion today.
Congratulations to Andrew O'Connor with the grand champion overall.
For me,
market
then,
animal.
for reserve, it's not much of a decision in my mind. There's the next one that follows, and it made it really complicated. The only thing she didn't quite do for me today is get quite around the ring as easily and easily and as freely as the one in front. And this young man, the market heifer, is going to be our reserve grand champion. Honorable mention? If we're going with our honorable mention, then I'm going to go with this yellowish cream steer. That'll be my third overall.
Adam Kapsky is the reserve grand champion.
Congratulations to our grand champion overall market animal, to Andrew O'Connor with his beef market steer from the River Falls FFA. Our reserve champion overall market animal goes to Adam Kapatsky of Country Partners with his market heifer. And honorable mention goes to Amber Meyer of Country Partners. Please give everyone a round of applause. We'll now have our 2 classes of bred and owned market animals. So class number 1, you should be ready to start entering the ring.
After we do our bred and owned
Exhibitors,
market
if you
animals.
are selling your beef on the auction tonight, please make sure that you get your blue cards turned in. Those were due by noon. It's 12:16, so hopefully they're all in. Okay, if you have not turned it in, you should run over there and have a really nice pleasing and say please and thank you and turn that in.
Again, after we do the 2 classes of bred and owned market animals, that's when we'll step away, and we'll be back after this afternoon and this evening at about 6:25 for the livestock auction. Again, we'll do these final 2 classes and then step away and be back at about 6:25.
At the conclusion of our bred and owned classes, when we pick a champion bred and owned market animal, we will go into our registered breeding stock. So if you have registered breeding stock, you should start getting them ready. And lot number 1, just be on deck pretty soon or get ready, as we'll start our registered breeding stock at the conclusion of class 1 and 2 in our bred and owned market animals.
Again, we'll do these 2 classes of bred and owned market animals. We'll get the champion, and then that's when we are going to step away for the afternoon. We'll be back at about 6:25 this evening with the livestock auction. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the Beef Show today.
To keep things moving on for this bred and owned deal, I'm just going to grab the first 2. We'll bring them in back for the championship drive since there's just the bred and owned champion. I'm going to take these two ladies here, not in a particular order, but we'll have them come back. Those will be my two that'll come back for the championship drive. All of you individuals here, you should be really proud of yourselves for bringing your own animals in, to take the time to calve them out, do that with your family, and make it a finished project. That's what it's all about. And the fact that you make it here to the fair and you do that, just bringing them in means a lot to all you individuals. So thank you very much for you for bringing your other ones back. You won't be coming back, but I'll give you all a handshake for coming in, and we'll bring you two individuals back in for overall.
Congratulations to our bred and owned exhibitors. Okay, our champion bred and owned, when they pick it, will receive a plaque. Otherwise, there's no ribbons or premiums. Now entering the ring should be class number 2 of our bred and owned.
Again, after we find out who our champion is in the bred and owned classes, we'll be stepping away. We'll be returning later this evening at about 6:25 is what our plans are. Again, we appreciate you joining us today. Please thank all of the sponsors we've been talking about as well. Give them a call, drop them an email, visit their business, and tell them thank you for supporting our video streams. Also, let the Pierce County Fair Board know as well you appreciate these video streams. And again, a special thank you as well to Pierce County Extension Service for allowing me to access their internet. It was very stable. Only had the one dropout, but that part of it, I think, is their internet access is a little bit older than what I'm using for our internet access, and the frequencies are different and they're much more stable when you get inside a building. That's the bad thing of 5G. If you have 5G on your phone, you might notice it works very well outside, but you get into a building and it doesn't work as well, and it's very unstable. That's what we experienced yesterday. So thank you to Extension Service for helping me out today with this.
To keep things moving along, I'm going to just go and I'm going to keep these two individuals back here. They'll be coming back right around for the overall bred and owned deal. Not anything to take away from these individuals' calves that they have over here. They're just a little lower in this class. They're one I believe was reserve prospects, and this young lady's black one was third in her class as well. Just a nice set of Herefords. There's nothing wrong with them whatsoever. We're just going to keep the ones that were a little higher in class back for the bred and owned show. So I just wanted to take a minute and talk to each of the kids and just congratulate them on these projects they brought out here. There's one animal that I just like from its type and kind a little bit more than the others. Not to take anything away from the rest, but I think there's a future in front of him that's quite bright. And this young man here, this will be my bred and owned steer. Then it gets just a little bit more interesting. I'm a little bit more and more. If I had to give a reserve to, it'd be this young lady. Thank you.
So congratulations to Oakley Yarwood. He has the champion bred and owned market animal. And that is going to wrap things up here from the Pierce County Fair and the Beef Show. We'll be back later on tonight at about 6:25 with the livestock auction. Until then, I'm Brian Winnikins from WRDN Radio. Have a great